Welcome back students, this is Kavita Jangra here, and in my previous video you have seen the processing of wool, and right now I am going to take you in detail and explain you one by one how we process that wool. So let us start now. This is what I was talking about, the wool. The wool, yes, what is it? It's a fiber, and that is derived from the hairs of, yes, from where we derive? I have shown you, yes, that is we get it from sheep or goat, and the hair of the other mammals, that may be alpacas, camel, yak, or maybe also called, that is what, wool. Okay, yak to get from the yak also we get the wool. So this is what about the wool is. Wool is actually a fiber that we get from, yes, animals. If I talk about what is sheep breeding, say for example, your mother is tall and your father is also tall, then the baby, that means you might be also having the characteristic of the tallness. In the sheep breeding, what they are selecting, they select the breeds to get the high quality of the wool, because the wool, the threads which are short and curly, they are much better than the long one and the thinner one. Let's see how. The quality and the quantity. Keep in mind here that quality, what type of quality it persists, and the quantity, that is in bulk. Quantity of wool, that depends on the breed of the sheep, okay, that I talk about, that is breed of the sheep. Then some breeds of sheep have, yes, exactly the fine hair, and while others have the coarse hair. Coarse, that means curly. Fine. These sheep are selectively bred and to get the offspring of the desired and specialized characteristics. This process is known as selective breeding. This we have studied before also. Right now I am recalling it again. Then what do you mean by selective breeding and why it is done? For this purpose it is done. These are the different animals from where we get the wool. Sheep, alpaca, camel, goat and yak. They all consist of fleece, that is hairs on their body, and they too give the wool of different qualities. This is what the processing of wool that we have seen in our previous video. Right now I am going to tell you the technical terms what we are telling them. So these wools consist of the processing pass on to the 4 major steps. What are these 4 major steps? First one is shearing, then scouring, then sorting, and finally making the yarn and then fabric from it. On my left side you can see that this person is, yes, what he is doing? He is taking out the hair, he is trimming the hair from the goat, yes, from the goat body, and here this sheep is not getting hurt. Why? Because the upper surface of the skin, that consists of dead cells. As if I say, when you are going to trim your hairs, you are not getting hurt. The same way the sheep do. Once the shearing is done, the hairs are taken out, and then it is being passed through the machine to separate the different types of hairs. So shearing is done manually by the pairs of scissors or maybe by electrical driven shears, that is with the help of trimmers. So the wool that we get from the live sheep, if the sheep is live and we are getting the wool from that is known as clipped wool, okay. And if you are getting the hair from the dead sheep, that is known as a pulled wool, because you have pulled it from there, that sheep is dead. Scouring is the second step. In scouring, the sheared skin, the sheared skin is, that is with hair, and then it is thoroughly washed in the tanks to remove the grease, dust and the dirt that is present in the hair. So this process is known as scouring. What is scouring? Yes, removing of the dirt, dust and the grease from hair, that is scouring. And nowadays scouring is done with the machines, but before in the ancient times it was done manually. Third step is sorting. After scouring, sorting is done, then hairy skin, that is sent to factory. As I have shown you before, the hairs were then sent to the factory where the hair of different textures are separated out or sorted. texture, that is they have the different color or maybe of the different lengthwise, maybe long, short, maybe fine, maybe curly. There are they being sorted, small fluffy fibers. When it was passed through the rollers, small round fluffy fibers, these are known as the burrs. These also are present on your woolen clothes when you are wearing them. Burrs, then these are picked out from the hair. This is known as sorting. Secondly, after the sorting, the people who separate different texture here in the factory. Have you think about the occupational hazard? I have discussed this in my previous videos also. They consist of occupational hazard. The work they are doing, with association with that, some diseases occurs. Here in the case of wool, what happens? The different texture here in the factory, they get infected with the bacterium anthrax, and that is Bacillus anthracis. Okay, this is a bacteria and it causes a disease. The disease name is a sorter's disease, because it is due to what? Yes, sorting, and they get infected and it gets into their lungs. So this is how the process is being done. So let's have a quick review that how the processing of the wool fibers done. Once we have taken the skin or the fur of the sheep, then shearing, that is removal of this dead layer of the skin, then scouring, skin with fur is washed in tanks, sorting, hair of different texture is separated in the factory, then removal of the burrs, small fluffy fibers. Finally, the dyeing, that is of different colors. As you know, we have seen the black, white or brown sheep, but even if you have seen in the market, you are wearing different types of clothes that are of different colors. So there is also dyeing process is done, and finally the rolling into the yarn, as I have shown you. So the quality of wool, it must be known to you, the quality of the given sample of the wool, that is judged by various criteria. What are these? How you can judge that this wool is of high quality or this quality is better? The thinner the fiber, more thinner the fiber is, the better is the wool. Okay, a wool of superior quality is more crimpy. Crimpy means that is curly. If the wool is more curly, that means that is of good quality. If it's straight, that has a less quality. That is not that much good as compared to the other. And the fine wool has a shorter fiber length. So this is the way how you can judge the quality of the wool. Secondly, the uses of wool. Have you think about it? Once you know that this is being used to make the cloth. In addition to clothing, the wool that is also being used for making the carpets, carpeting, felt. Felt is just to cover there, and upholstery, the wool felt is used, that is used to cover the windows area, so that because as it can trap the noise being trapped there, and it absorbs the noise, and is in heavy machinery these are used, and even in the stereo speakers, so that the sound cannot pass on to the another side. So this is also a use of wool. Next is the properties of wool. Till now we just studied about the process, how it is being processed and what should be the quality of the wool. That is also taken into consideration. And lastly, they are here the property of the wool. That the wool that is processed, what is its property, what it can be? It is hard wearing and absorbs the moisture. It has ability to absorb the moisture from the environment, and it does not burn over a flame but smolder instead. It doesn't like if it comes into touch of burning, it does not take instant. It smolders instead, and it leaves a brittle black bead when it is burned. When you are going to burn a wool, what happens? It forms a round black like structure. It is not like just it burns instantly, and it is lightweight, versatile, and the wool that is wrinkle easily, that does not wrinkle easily. That means there is no need to iron it a lot. Woolen clothes does not need lots of ironing because they are not getting wrinkled, as just like in case of cotton. So they are very easy to use, and it is resistant to dirt and wear and tear. As the woolen clothes, they have the property not to be wear and tear easily, and secondly, they are, as it is stated, resistant to dirt, no matter to clean it frequently, because they can withstand with it. So this is what the properties of the wool we talk about. Let's have a quick recap by this pictorial presentation, that what the processing of making wool. Major steps necessary to process the wool from sheep to the fabric, that is first shearing, then we clean it, then scouring, then grading, then sorting it, then carding, spinning, weaving and finishing. There you can see the hair are taken out, then the fleece is removed, dirt is removed, then pass on to roller. This is the carding process, and finally it is going to make the yarn, and you got the wool yarn, and finally you can make a fabric from that. So this is all about, we have studied about the shearing, yes, taken out with the help of razor, scouring, washed it with the dryer and clean it, sorting, clean the hair, sent to the factories, burr is removed, small round like structure, then if you want to dye it into different color, you may dye it, and finally the making the yarn, and we got, yes, this is the how the raw dirty grease sheep wool looks like. After washing it looks like this, and here the carding and combing is done. This is the carded wool. Finally we get the, yes, yarn. This is again a short recap, and this is the way how it goes on. Sheared, then clean, differently they graded, then they dry it, sorting out, and then packed it for baling. So this is what about we read even for the occupational hazard, that is sorter's disease, and that is due to the, yes, bacterium anthrax. This is the blood disease, and then soon in the next video we will continue for the, yes, for the silk. Until now you have to just recap it, and you have to write down in your notebook that how the processing is being done. Thank you. We'll meet you soon.